Hey everyone, welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Marianne. I live in Canada with my husband and two kids, ages 3 and 4, and I make videos on simplifying motherhood through easy organization. In today's video, we are talking all about pantry organization. Today I am showing you all about my pantry, everything we have. I set up this pantry about a year ago and it has been amazing for us. It's worked perfectly. I've made a few tweaks along the way, but otherwise it's been amazing. My priorities when I set it up were making sure that it was decluttered so I could manage it day to day. I wanted to make it easy to be in the kitchen, easy for meal prep. I also wanted to be aesthetically pleasing. I wanted to look cute, but I also wanted to do it on a budget. So those were my main priorities then. They still are now. I'm gonna show you what we have in our pantry, what we do not have in our pantry, how we organize it. I'm gonna share some tips and tricks of what I use, and hopefully this will inspire you to create spaces in your home and in your kitchen that make life easier. So let's get into it. So as you can see, guys, we have one long, tall pantry with 5 different shelves in it. In our old house, we had nothing like this. This pantry to me is so grown up and so exciting. I know to some people for the new houses, they have walk-in pantries in multiple different areas, which is amazing as well. Big pantries, small pantries, whatever you've got, I hope this inspires you. So starting here at the bottom is all of our spices, all of my spices. So when I started this, when I first set up the pantry, this was overflowing. I couldn't even fit all my spices into the one container. So since I've decluttered everything, it's been so much easier. I know what we have, I know what we use. Everything that I wasn't using, I either, if it was expired, I tossed it, or I've passed it on to friends or family members who I think would use it. And I've kept only what we actually love and what we actually use, which has been huge. The kids still use these baskets. They'll dig out all the jars. They make towers with them. They play store. They bake pretend cakes with all of this stuff. So they are always in this pantry. So I kind of took that into consideration. One day I will have beautiful matching spice jars that are all labeled perfectly and look beautiful. But for now, this is what works for us. So really remember what stage you are in your life. Don't feel like it has to look perfect to be organized or that has to be done all at once. Do what works for you and find systems that make your life easier, not harder. So next, all right guys, next shelf is what I call grains. It's basically pasta and rice. I want to mention these containers. All 5 shelves have the same matching container. It's from Dollarama. So they were super budget friendly. For the most part, honestly, I do love them. They work really well. They are a great size for us. What I love about them is that they're cohesive. So having all of the same containers makes it look a little more cohesive, more streamlined. I think they were $4 each. So the whole pantry cost me like just over $20. So at that point, and even now, like I'm not ready to invest a lot of money. However, if you do have more money to spend or a higher budget, I would encourage you to get like really sturdy ones, especially for like the heavier pantry items. If you are working with existing containers that you kind of want to utilize what you already have, all I would say is just having the same color. So say you have like a bunch of mismatched styles, if at least you can get a bunch that are all the same color, that will make a huge difference. I also want to note that I have purchased these for lots of other projects. Like I have a lot of these containers in my house, and I've got them in black before and I don't like them as much. I find that the white makes the space, it doesn't matter what space I'm organizing, it makes them seem brighter and more open. And the black, it's kind of hard to find stuff in the black ones, and it's just like not quite as cute. I will show you in a second that I do love decanting. If you've ever watched my videos, you know I love glass jars. They look so cute. They are so functional and I absolutely love them. However, I do not decant everything. So you'll see in this bin, I've left everything in its existing container. Like rice, for example, I've used half of it. I just put an elastic band around it and I leave it in there. I keep breadcrumbs in here that I use for making meatballs, things like that. I also have our croutons in here for Caesar salads, and then all of our pasta. One trick I use for pasta is when I'm left with like, after I've made something and I have like a ton of little bits of different types of noodles, I grab a large freezer Ziploc bag and I just toss them all in there. So you can kind of see I have a few different types in there. Even the lasagna ones, if I don't make a lasagna anytime soon. I will break all those up into smaller pieces and use them even just for spaghetti with the kids. The kids think it's kind of cool. It's something different. It's like they like finding the different kinds in their plate and that kind of thing. So if you have little ones, it is kind of fun for that. I try to not put anything in behind my bins. So you can see that the shelves are pretty deep. I could easily shove more back there, and as a rule, I try not to. I don't always follow my rule, as you'll see in a second, but just having everything to the front makes it easier to manage, easier to look at, easier to stay organized. When you shove stuff way in the back, it's so easy to forget what you have, and you end up buying more groceries than you need and ending up with double. So for the most part, I try as best I can to keep everything in the bins and at the very least at the front of the shelf. Okay guys, third shelf. This one is called breakfast and baking. It sounds like a random combination, but it just ended up working great for us. I also want to briefly mention my labels. So you can kind of see this one up close. This is another example that one day I will have beautiful labels with beautiful clips that I will absolutely love on my pantry. But at this phase in my life, in this stage, all I wanted was something functional so that people know where to put everything back and where to grab something from. All I did was use Scott's label maker that he has. He's an electrician and he has a label maker that he uses to label, I guess, electrical panels. I don't know what he uses it for, but I used it for my pantry. They're really simple, really basic, but they do the trick. And for right now, it works perfectly for us. This bin is an example of how much I love decanting and my jars. One thing I will say about decanting is I have become very flexible with it and very fluid. I don't have 20 jars that all have specific labels and have to have specific things in them. I found that that stressed me out, and I ended up having a ton of jars and half of them were half full all the time, and it kind of drove me crazy. So what I found worked for me is just having jars. If I get something like raisins, for example, and I put them in this jar, when these raisins run out, I will clean my jar out and then I will put it back on the shelf and maybe end up using it for carrot sticks or melon balls or something completely different. Having a collection of jars and switching them out, that has worked amazing for us. So because I'm constantly changing them, I don't typically label the jars. However, I do have this little Sharpie. I think I've shared it before in another video, but it's a Sharpie oil-based paint marker. So I will link it below. I don't know if you can see it there. It is a Sharpie paint marker, and it stays on really well and comes off really easily. I don't know how they do that. And it goes on a lot of surfaces. Like, it definitely works on glass. You can see Annie Rose was helping me label jars. And apparently she thought the whole thing should be labeled. That'll wipe off no problem when I wash them. All of my jars are either ones that we've had left over. Like, I'm pretty sure this one was honey. This I bought secondhand. I wanted something really big. We have a lot of oatmeal, and I just love this jar. It's an old pickle jar, I'm pretty sure. If you want to utilize old jars, but if it kind of bugs you that they don't all look the same, I've seen people spray paint the lids of them. And so you could like spray paint them all white or all black so they all match. And that's an easy way of making them look like they're all like a set, even if they're not. All right, so as I mentioned, I don't always follow my own rule. On this shelf, which is like partially my baking shelf, I do keep my bigger items at the back. So you can see I keep like our flour. I have a big container of sugar in the back. And then right now I have like a smoothie mix. I don't always have that, but that's anything big like that I'm either not going to like decant, or if it's just super large. And especially if it's something that I only pull out now and then, like brown sugar, stuff like that. And in terms of like clips for stuff that I don't decant, I do not have anything fancy. This is like one of the, like a paper clip. And I use rubber bands. I really focus on just using what we have. So this next shelf at the very front, you can see that I have our butter and our coffee and sugar. So these are two items that I quickly realized I was grabbing for every single day, multiple times per day. So I wanted them easy to access because I have them in cute little jars. It added sort of like a cute factor to the pantry. I just got them free from, I think soup came in them or something, and they almost look like a little set. So I love them. This little gold bin is also from the dollar store, and it actually was in the stationery section. I definitely did not add this for function, but I did add it because I like the look of it. I love gold, and it makes it feel like it's like a little mini tiny coffee bar right inside my pantry. pantry. So in behind the coffee and butter is our next bin called Snacks and Spread. One of the girls I follow on Instagram, Jackie, she is a professional organizer, and one time I was watching one of her like live videos and she called a section breads and spreads, which I thought was genius and so cute. However, all of our bread we keep in the freezer, so we didn't need a bread box, but Snacks and Spreads works great for us. That's where I got the name from. And so in this section, we basically keep peanut butter and then snacks. So one thing that we do not have a ton of is like individually packaged snacks. However, we do always have one type of crackers and cereal. Pretty much as soon as I bring them home, I take them out of the box. So crackers, they stay way fresher in jars, and they also look cuter. I know how much I have of everything, and usually it's easier to store. I don't actually decant, like I don't put my cereal into a jar, but I do take it out of the box because the box takes up so much room, and I put an elastic around it. And I also only have one type of cereal in the house at all times. Okay guys, last shelf is cans. I'll pull it out and kind of show you what's inside. I don't typically buy cans just to like have on hand. Canned goods I find super cheap anyway, so it's not like I feel like I need to bulk up when they're on sale or anything like that. We buy groceries every 2 weeks, so I buy enough to last for those 2 weeks, whatever I have on my meal plan, and then it runs out and we fill it back up. I will say that when I first get home from grocery shopping, this basket and this shelf in particular are overflowing. Like there's a ton of stuff in here. Within the next day or two, I've done some meal prep or done some meals for the freezer. So then this goes right back down again. So you can see right now, I have like chickpeas and corn and this Catalina salad dress, and I am making trying a new dip. And so all those ingredients are for that dip. So as soon as I've made that, those will be out of there. Next week, we're having pasta with Alfredo sauce. So I have a jar of Alfredo. There are 2 items that I keep kind of on hand at all times, and that is tuna. The kids eat a lot of tuna sandwiches. And the second one is canned fruit. So I also love tuna melts. So I'll often have those on a Saturday night for dinner. And then peaches or pineapple or something like that, so that at the end of my shopping period, when we've run out of fresh fruit, I have this for lunches and snacks and sometimes breakfast. One other type of organization for cans is having those like little, like basically risers. They almost look like little tiny mini bleachers for cans. I don't have them. I find it works well for me in this basket. I like that when I open the pantry, I don't have to look at all the cans. However, if you think it would work better for you, like if you feel like you often will overbuy or buy duplicates of things, it might be better so that you can easily see whatever you have. Or if your kids are older and you want them to be able to really see everything and make it really obvious for them, if they're helping with cooking or starting to make things on their own, that might be a good idea for you. I will link it below, like just to give you an idea of a different type of way of organizing cans. So guys, that is everything for this pantry, all the food that we have in here. Other than the fridge, I keep food items in 2 other baskets in our kitchen, and it's in the shelf over between our oven and our fridge. One is for baking and one is for more like cooking spices. So more salt and pepper, everyday spices that I would use, that I would just grab if I'm making pasta or something at the stove, and I just grab it and like toss it into the pan. That basket is lower, so it's easier for me to grab. I do find I use that fairly regularly, especially like I said, for salt and pepper. And then the second basket is at the very top shelf. That is like my small baking supply. So baking soda, baking powder, vanilla. That one also has like sprinkles and chocolate chips and little bits of coconut. So I purposely left that one up there so I can have it far away from the kids' hands. All right, guys, that is my whole pantry tour. I hope it helped. I hope it inspires you. Remember that the goal is to make life easier, not harder, and to create spaces that are super easy to organize, easy to manage, and that you don't have to end up spending a ton of money on. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.